In the last session, we discussed that the moon goes around the earth and it takes 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes and a chelik. And every month, we have the Shas HaMolad, which is the moment of the new moon. This is the basis of the calendar. I want to talk a little bit about the implications of the time of the Molad. When the Molad occurs, as is discussed in the Gemara on Rosh Hashanah Daf Chaf, that's going to be the determinant of the day of Rosh Hashanah. The first step in determining the calendar is to know the Shas HaMolad for the month of Tishrei. So, for example, this past Rosh Hashanah was on Tuesday. Why was it on Tuesday? The answer is the Molad of Tishrei, Tafshin Pei Beis, occurred on Monday night at 11:27 p.m. and 11 Chalakim. This time of the Molad, this was a time, again, as we explained, based on the average. This time goes all the way back to Brias HaOlam. When the world was created, Adam Arisha and Hayam Aras Olam, on Rosh Hashanah, it was a Friday that Adam Arisha was created. On that day, the Molad occurred at 8 a.m. on Friday morning. And from that moment on, we add 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes and a chelik to every month. Again, there's leap years, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And we come to Tafshin Pei Beis, all the years later, we come to Tafshin Pei Beis and we get the Molad. So this time of the Molad for Tishrei is based on a cheshbon that we calculate all the way back to Brias HaOlam. So if the Molad was at 11:27 p.m. and 11 Chalakim on Monday night, so that's Leil Yom Shlishi. And therefore, Rosh Hashanah was on, Yom Shlishi was on Tuesday, because the Molad occurred on Tuesday. And therefore, when Hillel Hasheni established the calendar in 4119, which is 359 of the Common Era, and he determined that Rosh Hashanah of Tafshin Pei Beis should be on Tuesday, and therefore Rosh Hashanah is on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Yom Kippur was on Thursday, and Sukkot was on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan was on Wednesday, Thursday, etc. All of that was based on this time of the Molad that occurred on Monday night. Monday night is Tuesday, and therefore Rosh Hashanah had to be on Tuesday. Now, what's interesting is that the Iker Molad, the primary Molad of the year, and really the only Molad that we work with to determine the months and to determine exactly how the year and months are laid out, is the Molad of Tishrei. Because why is it that we look at this coming year, we all got a calendar for this year, and we know that next Pesach will be on Shabbos, and Shavuos is going to be on Sunday, in Tafshin Pei Beis, and next Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Monday. The reason is because the Molad for Tafshin Pei Gimel, Haba Aleinu L'Tova, is going to be on Sunday night at 9 p.m. and 6 Chalakim. Sunday night is Yom Sheni. So next Rosh Hashanah has to occur on Yom Sheni. And the way the year is determined, this year happens to be a leap year. We'll discuss exactly why it's a leap year. And we'll see the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah's discussion of that as well. But let's just take on at this point that it's a leap year. So we need 13 months. So we took the Molad of Tishrei of Tafshin Pei Beis, and we add the Molad for the next month, 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and a chelik for Cheshvan, and then we do it again for Kislev, and again, and we'll announce every single month. And then we come to, again, 13 months later, and we determine, based on the Molad, that's on Sunday night, that Rosh Hashanah has to be on Monday. So what we know, based on the Shas HaMolad, is that Rosh Hashanah Tafshin Pei Beis had to have been on a Tuesday, which it was, based on the Shas HaMolad. And then Rosh Hashanah of Tafshin Pei Gimel has to be on a Monday, based on the Shas HaMolad. All the other months will then fall into place. And that is how the year is determined. In other words, technically, the reason why Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan this year was on Wednesday and Thursday was not because the Molad was on Wednesday night. The reason why the Molad of Cheshvan, Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, was on Wednesday and Thursday was because Rosh Hashanah was on Tuesday and Wednesday. Meaning, what I mean to say is that all we care about in determining the year is the Molad of Tishrei, this Tishrei, and the Molad of the following Tishrei. And then we say, okay, how do I make this work? How do I make Rosh Hashanah on a Tuesday this year and Rosh Hashanah on Monday next year in a leap year? In order to do that, we need 384 days. Basically, we need 55 weeks minus a day. It's going to be almost 55 weeks, 54 weeks and 6 days. That's how long Tafshin Pei Beis has to be. So, very simple. To do that, we need 384 days. How do we do that? There are 2 months during the year, Cheshvan and Kislev, which could be 29 or 30 days. In other words, every other month is already set. Tishrei is always 30 days. Teves is always 29 days. Shvat is always 30 days. Other Rishon in a leap year, which we have this year, is always 30 days. Other Sheni, or other in a regular year, other Hasamuch LeNisan, is always 29 days. Nisan is 30, Iyar is 29, Sivan is 30, Tammuz is 29, Av is 30, Elul is 29. Always. So, it doesn't matter when the Molad fell out. It makes no difference. We're looking at this Rosh Hashanah and next Rosh Hashanah. How many days do I need? We need 384 days this year. To facilitate that, we're going to make Cheshvan 29 days. Chazal said, let's make Cheshvan 29 days and Kislev 30 days. By doing that, that's called Kesidron, because we go Keseder. Tishrei is 30, Cheshvan is 29, Kislev is 30, Tevis is 29. It goes Kesidron, it goes Keseder. There are some years, for example, let's take a Shana Pshuta, where we have the first Rosh Hashanah has to be on a Monday, and the next Rosh Hashanah, based on the calculations of the Molad, have to be on Thursday. So how do we facilitate Rosh Hashanah of one year on a Monday and Rosh Hashanah of next year on a Thursday? We're talking about a non-leap year. We need 353 days. That's 50 weeks and 3 days. In order to facilitate that, we're going to make Cheshvan and Kislev both 29 days. That year is known as a chaser because it's missing. We have Tishrei 30, Cheshvan 29, Kislev 29, Teves 29. 3 months in a row of 29 days, and only Shvat we get to 30. And then you'll have, of course, one day of Rosh Chodesh 3 months in a row when that happens. So then it will work. We'll make sure that Rosh Hashanah falls out on the correct day in the following year. And that's how the years work. A year could be 353 days, 354 days, 355 days, Shana Pshuta. Or in an Iber Yar, it could be 383, 384, or 385 days. Let's say Rosh Hashanah of this year needs to be on a Monday. And Rosh Hashanah of next year needs to be on a Thursday. To facilitate that, we need to have 353 days in the year. And therefore, we'll make Cheshvan and Kislev only chaser. We'll make them both 29 days, only 29 days. And that will mean that the next Rosh Hashanah will have Rosh Hashanah on a Monday. The following Pesach will be on a Tuesday. And then Rosh Hashanah will be on a Thursday. The year will have 353 days because Cheshvan and Kislev were only 29 days. And that means Rosh Chodesh will have 3 months in a row where you'll only have 1 day of Rosh Chodesh. If you need a Kesidron, as we explained, it's 29:30. If you need a Shalem, let's say this Rosh Hashanah is a Monday, and next Rosh Hashanah has to fall out on a Shabbos. To facilitate that in a Shana Pshuta, in a regular year, we'll need to have 355 days. We'll need to have Cheshvan and Kislev both 30 days. That's known as a Shalem. And therefore, we'll have Cheshvan and Kislev 30 days. That will make sure that Rosh Hashanah, if you just go through the months, and you see every month switches off, 29, 30, again, you'll have Cheshvan and Kislev 30, and then Shvat will be 29, and Tevis will be 29, Shvat will be 30, and so on. You'll end up with Rosh Hashanah on the correct day. Now, in an Iber Yar, in a leap year, you have an extra 30 days. The extra month, or the Rishon, is always going to be 30 days. So you get extra 30 days, that's 4 weeks and 2 days. it'll either be 383, 384, or 385. Again, as we mentioned, this year is 384 days. That is the rarest number of days in a year. It's the least frequent number of days that we can have in a year. Last time we had such a year was 1994, 1995. That would have been Tafshin Nun Hey was the last time we had 384 days. 385 days is an interesting year because it's a leap year, and the days the following year will repeat themselves. In other words, you'll have, let's say Rosh Hashanah is on a Shabbos, and you want to have 385 days. That means you have 55 complete weeks. So next Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Shabbos again. So you'll have an Iber, you'll have an extra Adar, and Cheshvan and Kislev, both 30 days. That's a jam-packed with days, 385 days, 55 weeks. Rosh Hashanah this year will be on a Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah next year will be on a Shabbos. Or Rosh Hashanah this year will be on a Thursday. And Rosh Hashanah next year will once again be on a Thursday. Or you could have Monday to Monday, right? You'll never have Tuesday Rosh Hashanah repeated. You'll never have a Shalom with Rosh Hashanah on a Tuesday. But you could have the other days of the week a Shalom in a leap year. And therefore Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot and so on, the Yom Tovim, Pesach and so on will repeat themselves. Okay, so that's the basis of the year. So we've seen that the Iker Molad of the year is the Molad of Tishrei. That determines when Rosh Hashanah is. It's ironic that the one Molad a year that we don't announce out loud is the Molad of Tishrei. The minig in most Kehilas is to announce the Molad on Shabbos V'Varchim, which we have every month. Though that announcement really does not impact the Rosh Chodesh. What impacts Rosh Chodesh is the Molad of Tishrei, and then the months fall into place. Tishrei of this year, Tishrei of next year, and then everything lines up as is. And again, Cheshvan and Kislev, you have to base on how many days in the year you need. But the Shas HaMolad really doesn't make a difference. Pashas, we announced the Molad, Nachan, it's proper to know the time of the Molad. There is an important point of knowing the Molad, and that is for the recitation of Kiddush Levana, which we'll briefly mention. It's really a sugya in Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Mem Beis. But briefly, you can only say Kiddush Levana at the earliest, only 3 days after the Shas HaMolad. That's the earliest. Okay, we're not going to get into the halachas if you wait for Motzei Shabbos, or some have a minute to wait longer. Mishabur brings down the earliest possible time to say the Kiddush Levana is 3 days after the Molad. The latest time, the Ramah says, based on the Maril, is halfway between one Molad and the next. Now you'll understand what the Ramah means in Arachayim Siman Tov Chavav, where he says you could say Kiddush Levana until Chatzi Chav Tes Yud Beis Tash Tzag. You know what that means? That means halfway between one Molad and the next. Chav Tes are the days, Yud Beis are the hours, Tash Tzag are the number of Chalakim, 793 Chalakim. The Ramah doesn't deal with minutes. The Ramah deals with only Chalakim for an hour. And therefore, in an hour has 1,008 Chalakim, 44 minutes and one Chalik is equivalent to 793 Chalakim. And therefore, the Chatzi, Chavtes Yud Beis, Tash Tzag means halfway of 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and one Chalik, which is 14 days, 18 hours, 22 minutes, and a half a Chalik. From the Shas HaMolad, that's how much time you have to say Kiddush Levana. For again, you have after the 3-day mark, but from the Shas HaMolad, after you've passed the 3-day mark, you have from the time of the Molad up to the latest time of 14 days, 18 hours, 22 minutes, and a Chalik. So the Shas HaMolad is important in determining the Soif Zman Kiddush Levana, the latest time for the recitation of Kiddush Levana. Now, there are complicated halachas with the time, which we're not going to get into, but exactly is the time Yerushalayim exactly the same time that it was as the Molad time dictates. There have been changes to the clock over the years. That's one issue. The second issue in halacha deals with is, do you have to subtract the hours? That's the Shas HaMolad time in Yerushalayim. In, let's say, New York, it's 7 hours back. So the Shas HaMolad that they announce is Yerushalayim time, but we're really 7 hours earlier. So do you have to, for Kiddush Levana, says for Kiddush Levana, do you deduct those 7 hours? This is a lengthy discussion, but one just could appreciate exactly the mechanics of this discussion and exactly what the issue is at hand, because now we have a better understanding of the Shas HaMolad. One other important point is that we mentioned that the days of every month are kavua, are set, with the exception of Cheshvan and Kislev, 29 days or 30 days. The Poskim speak about why was Cheshvan and Kislev chosen. Some say it was early in the year, but another reason given is because in the summer you would run into problems if you start changing the number of days of the month. For example, during Sfira, if you were to change Iyar or Nisan, and you would have a different day of Shavuos, because Shavuos is the 50th day of Sfira, and if all of a sudden you make Iyar 30 days, Shavuos is going to be a different day. And the summer is an issue because there's a set number of days that happen between Shavuos, Shivas B'Tammuz, and then between Shivas B'Tammuz and Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the 40 days of Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. You don't want to tamper with Adar, the number of days between Purim and Pesach. So Cheshvan and Kislev are safe, so to speak. They're not in any problematic time. L'chayru, though, we can ask a question on this, because the fact that Kislev is sometimes 29 days and sometimes 30 days leads to some confusion. Because if a person was born on the 8th day of Hanukkah, their birthday is not necessarily, their bar mitzvah is not necessarily going to be on the 8th day of Hanukkah, because the 8th day of Hanukkah could be the 2nd or 3rd of Teves. If there's 29 days if there's only 29 days in Kislev, then the last day of Hanukkah is Gimel Teves. And if there's 30 days, then the last day of Hanukkah is going to be Beis Teves. So it's the Gei yard sites. The Be'alacha notes, be careful. If a person has yard site at the end of Hanukkah, don't go by the day of Hanukkah. You have to go by the day in Teves. A person could have a yard site on Gimel Teves, and the Tira took place on the last day of Hanukkah, but yet in some years, the yard site's the day after Hanukkah. So it's confusing. So what's the pshat? So I was thinking perhaps we could answer by saying that we know that the Yevanim took away Rosh Chodesh, Mila, and Shabbos. Mila, of course, is such an important mitzvah. It's a hallmark of every Jewish boy. And Shabbos, of course, is Shkul K'nei Kol HaTorah. It's so important. Why did they pick Rosh Chodesh? They picked Rosh Chodesh because they wanted to tamper with the Yom Tovim. If we don't know when Rosh Chodesh is, we don't know when Sukkot is, we don't know when Pesach is, we don't know when Purim is. Yom Tovim is such a fundamental part of the year, and they tampered with it to attempt to confuse Klal Yisrael into not knowing when Rosh Chodesh is, and therefore when Yom Tov is, and when Bar Mitzvahs are, and yard sites, and we live by the days. Klal Yisrael lives by the calendar, and therefore they tampered with it. So perhaps we go ahead and when is the tikkun of the calendar? Next Rosh Hashanah, Habalenu Taiva, as we mentioned, Tavshin Pei Gimel, is going to be on a Monday, because the Molad is going to be on Sunday night. So how do we make sure that happens? El is going to have 29 days. Erev Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Sunday next year. How do we make sure that happens? It just doesn't just occur. The answer is we make sure to make Cheshvan, Rosh Chodesh, Kislev 1 day, Cheshvan 29 days, and Kislev 30 days. And by doing that, and then the rest of the months follow the regular pattern, now Rosh Hashanah is Kavua. So technically it's during Chodesh Kislev that we're Kaveya the calendar for the rest of the year. We're Kaveya starting with Rosh Chodesh Kislev by being 1 day. That's the beginning of the tikkun of the calendar so that it's fixed properly for the year. And the Makabah Patish, the final nail to ensure that next Rosh Hashanah occurs on the proper day, occurs right in the middle of Hanukkah. We're going to have a 30th day of Kislev, and then Aleph Teves, and now we're set, we're good to go. Teves will be 29 days, Shvat will be 30 days, we'll have an Iber Yar, and that makes sure that the calendar. So during Hanukkah, when the Yevanim wanted to take away Rosh Chodesh from us, they wanted to, of course, Rosh Chodesh always falls out during Hanukkah. It's no coincidence, but it's more than that. The Rosh Chodesh Teves is significant because that's the Rosh Chodesh that is Kaveya the calendar for the entire year. Every single year is during Hanukkah. So specifically during Hanukkah, we go ahead and we're mesakin it because the Yevanim wanted to take it away from us. The Chashmonaim stopped that, and therefore, until this day, we're able to be Kaveya Rosh Chodesh based on Chazal, based on the Cheshbon, and celebrate the Yom Tovim in their proper time.